I just want to say it's such an honor to share the stage tonight with so many incredible women and to be doing a benefit for Planned Parenthood. So I'm the honored one. Thank you so much for having me. It's so good to be here. In the 7th grade, I wanted nothing so much as I wanted to be Angelique Adams. She had waist-length, long, beautiful, shiny black hair that when she was talking, she would fan out around her with her press-on nails that I was not allowed to wear. And she wore dark purple lipstick and the bibs of her overalls down. Which is a very hard look to pull off because I'm not sure if you're aware that that's just pants at that point. That's just, you have to have a lot of sass behind bibs down. She wasn't exactly popular, she was better than popular. She was scary. She was everything I wanted to be, everything I was not. Because I, in 7th grade, had 2-inch thick rose-tinted glasses with electrical tape in the middle. And I had cystic acne. Yep, those 2 things will make you very popular very quickly. That's not true. But I did run a really solid Dungeons & Dragons group, so thank you. If you're looking for a solid DM, Emma Arnold is your huckleberry. Thank you. She was terrifying. Even the cheerleaders would stop by her table at lunch to pay their respects. And that was because Angelique was a foster kid. She had been through the foster system. In fact, a lot of the kids in my neighborhood were foster kids. But Angelique was the queen of the rough kids because she had been through some major shit. And she was like a diamond that had been pressed down from hardship. She didn't give a fuck about anything. She used to eat rubber cement because huffing it was for pussies. How do you try to be someone like that? You can't. She was incredible. Now, normally, a kid like me would not have been allowed anywhere near Angelique, but we lived on the same street, and she and her group of friends had the same bus stop as me, and I could do a very, very good Fire Marshal Bill impersonation, which you guys are not impressed with, but in 1992 was money in the bank. Do it! That'll open a lot of doors for you. In 1992. So they sort of tolerated my presence, and I was secretly captain of the safety patrol and liked to make spreadsheets in my spare time. But around Angelique and her friends, I would wear my flannel button just at the top, and I would talk about how much sex and drugs I had also done. Which was all made up. It was all things I had read in books and just stories that I was hoping that they had never also tagged along with. But they would let me hang out a little bit at the bus stop before and after school, but they never let me come along to do things. I wasn't invited to sleepovers. I wasn't invited when they went to do stuff until one day they were like, "Do you want to come to the mall with us after school?" And I wanted to come to the mall with them more than I wanted to live. More than I wanted anything else. More than I think I've ever wanted anything my whole life. And so I was like, I absolutely want to do that. So we went to the mall together, and I could feel that this was it. This was my one chance. If I fucked this up, that was it. Didn't matter how good my Fire Marshal Bill was. I was never coming back for it. So we were walking around, and this group of girls and Angelique went into Claire's boutique, and they were shoplifting, which is what it's there for. It's the only reason you go into Claire's is to pop a few scrunchies in your pocket and leave. You know, they don't mind, you guys, they don't mind. It's part of their marketing strategy. Come to Claire's, take what you need. But I had never done anything wrong before. I had never broken a rule. I was a squeaky clean, straight A student. And my new friends were all walking around shoplifting. And when we got out of Claire's, Angelique turned to me, fanned out her hair, and said, "Are you gonna steal something? Because if you're not gonna steal something, you can't hang out with us anymore." And I was like, this is it, this is my moment. So with a whole lot of bravado, I did not feel, I was like, I'm totally gonna steal something. I steal stuff all the time. I'm gonna steal something from the next store we go into. And I turned around and I took off, went into the first store I came to, and about 8 steps in, I realized that it was the pet store. And I went to turn around and leave, but I saw Angelique and the girl standing there, and Angelique gave me a neck shake. And you can't back down from a neck shake, just so you know, you gotta. So I was like, yep, I gave her the like, this was on purpose, and I walked back further into the pet store, and I was in there for about 10 minutes, and when I came out, all the girls were standing there looking at me expectantly, and also a little confused, as I came out with my arms raised, shaking, and I walked up to Angelique. She was like, "Oh my God, did you steal something?" And I was like, "Yes." And she's like, "What did you steal?" And I was like, "Hamsters." Because while I was walking around the pet store, I'm nearly in tears because I had realized that I had blown my big chance. I realized that there was a big vat of hamsters on the ground that you could pet but not pick up. That's an important detail. And I went over and I pretended like I was petting a hamster, but really I let one just crawl up my sleeve. Easy peasy, guys. Just crawl right up there. But like I said, I had never done anything bad before. And when that little fluff ball hit skin, the adrenaline just coursed through me. And I stuffed another hamster in there. And then another one, and another one, and another one. I filled my sleeves up to full hamster capacity. Like Pringles in a can, you know, just as many. And then I stood up very slowly, and I'm just gonna give you a little advice here. Hamsters are not scrunchies. If you're gonna steal them, you gotta move real slow, because they will tickle. You know, you gotta be very deliberate with your actions. And I made my way past the clerk, like, nothing to see here. I'm just a very small girl with big arms. Nothing to see. And I got outside and I told my friends. And I looked to Angelique and, you know, everybody looked to her like, are we accepting this? And she looked at me and was like, "You're fucking loco. I love it." So, I wish I could tell you guys that that is a thing that only happened once. That one time, I went to the mall and I filled my sleeves up with hamsters, and that is a one-time thing. But this went on for months. I got addicted to that hamster high. It never occurred to me in that time that I could steal something else. Like the first thing that I did, I just was like, you do that forever, because it felt great. And every weekend, I would find myself back at that pet shop, filling my sleeves full of hamsters. I never sold as many as I did that first time. I really went a little too far in that first time. But I would go and I'd steal 3 or 4, walk out feeling like dirty hair. Just like, you can get away with anything. pretty soon, so I was keeping these hamsters, and I would, this should probably tell you a little bit what my childhood was like, is at home, I had a closet filled with empty aquariums. If you were like, trailer park, you win. That's right. That's like one of the mainstays of trailer parks. There's lots of empty aquariums. So I had all these aquariums, and I would go and I would shake my sleeves out into the aquariums, and pretty soon I had a big problem on my hands, because I don't know if you know this, but hamsters be fucking, and that situation got out of control very fast. And I went from having too many hamsters to having maybe all of the hamsters. Sometimes people ask when I tell the story, didn't your parents notice that there was like a hamster smell coming from your room? And I've asked my mother about that, and she said, you know, with 5 kids, there's just certain smells you ignore. That makes sense to me as a mom now. So I had all these hamsters, and I didn't know what to do with them. So one day I thought, you know, I was like, oh. And in the meantime, Angelique and her friends, they were letting me hang out more, and they were letting me come with them and do stuff. And then one day she came to me, and she was like, so we've been thinking, like, we've decided to like make the group, instead of just a group, a gang. And like everybody has a role in the gang, except for you, and I'm just wondering, like, what are you for? And I thought about it, and I was like, I'm a very industrious business person. So I went home, and the next day, I filled my puffy coat up full of hamsters, and I walked down the bus aisle like a black marketeer. I was like, would anybody like a hamster? $1. I got your black ones, I got your white ones, I got your teddy bears. And people bought hamsters from me for $1. And it became a thing at my junior high, because I grew up in Idaho, so there's not any like real crime. Yay, Idaho! There's like no real crime, so to prove you were like hard, you had to, you know, do something kind of creative, like what the kids at my school did, which was tucking a hamster in your sleeve and flashing it during class to show you were carrying. That's how people knew you were real. And it became this thing at my junior high to carry an illicit sleeve hamster during class. And I sold the fuck out of those hamsters, you guys. I'm a very good business person, and I had the realization, like, why am I hitting junior highs? Elementary schools are where it's at. And I started selling hamsters to the older kids at a discount so that they could sell them to their siblings. And I had a racket. I was the hamster Dawn. And I feel like that probably would have carried on, you know, forever. I felt like I'd really found my niche. Until one day, my principal came up to me and he came up to my class and he pulled me out of class, and he took me down to his office. And all the way, you know, Angelique and the girls in class, like, they were looking at me like, don't tell him anything. And when I was walking down the hall, I was all Angelique, you know? I was like, you can't pin this on me. My dad's a plumber. You'll be sorry. But before we even got to his office, because I'd never actually been in trouble, like, I totally broke, and he sat me down, and he didn't even ask me a single question. I just narked out everyone. Everyone. For everything that anyone had ever done, hamsters, anything. I told him about the hamsters, stealing them and selling them, and I told him about Claire's Boutique and what I felt like they could do to improve their security situation. I just narked out everybody. And at the end of it, he was like, I was going to tell you that you made the honor roll, so... So, of course, word got around to Angelique and the girls that I had narked on them, and they kicked me out of the group, and I was very badly bullied for a couple years by them and some other girls, you know, but rightly so, in a way. I kind of had that coming with narking on everybody, but I stopped being friends with them, and I stopped buttoning my flannel at the top, and I stopped trying to be Angelique, because it became clear to me sitting in that chair that I was like, there is no Angelique in you. There's, like, you can want to be this girl as much as you want, but you are 100% the girl who thinks that stealing hamsters is the way to cool. Like, this is you. Right here, this is your true self in this chair. So time passes, people grow up, 20 years go by, and it turns out that Angelique has a kid at my kid's school. A little younger than mine, and I see her at a function, and I swear to God, I was just as scared of her as 7th grade. I was like, shit! Angelique is here! Pull your shit together, Arnold. She came over, and we started talking, and actually she's lovely. She's a mom, she's a phlebotomist, she draws blood, and she's, I think about a couple of the stories we heard about what a rough life she had and how she really pulled out of so much adversity and became this wonderful mom and just seems like a really wonderful person now. And we were talking, and I told her, God, I used to want to be you more than anything. I used to, I single white femaled you. God, I just did everything you did. I wore your lipstick at home because I was too scared you'd see me in school in that purple. And she was like, oh my God, that's so funny, because I used to love going to your house because you had a mom and a dad, and you had a family and brothers and sisters and like a normal life, and you had meat in your spaghetti because we were fancy. And she was like, I always wanted to be you. And I was like, oh my God, how funny that we had this this double envy for each other. And I was like, all I ever wanted, was to be as cool as you. Like, all I ever wanted when we were friends was to be as cool as you, as crazy as you. Like, I've always been such an uptight spreadsheet person, and I wanted to be as wild and carefree and kind of crazy as you were. And she was like, yeah, you were the weird girl who stole hamsters, so you've got it. And I was like, fuck yeah, I do. So thank you guys.